notes because I have the memory of a goldfish. And to clarify, I'm from Houston, but it's okay. Everyone hear me? I was thinking about doing an interpretive dance, but I'm neither good at dancing, nor is it appropriate for this setting, so you're just gonna have to listen to me talk. This is a little personal, so excuse the script. Dropping out of college was the best, worst thing that ever happened to me. Now, I know what you're thinking. Who thought it was a good idea to let a college dropout into Wharton? Well, to that, I would counter, you're all dropouts too, just from banking or consulting. So, now that we're all cordial, and I can see none of you with these lights, let's talk about our shared identity, dropping out. I completed my freshman year of college in the spring of 2012. At the end of my freshman year at the University of Alabama, Roll Tide, I remember opening my phone to check my account balance. According to Chase Checking, I had 92 cents to my name. 92. Incidentally, the same year that I was born, which also meant that modern day tech solutions for being a broke college student, like TikTok thirst trapping or having an OnlyFans, didn't exist yet. So I obviously had no choice for other income generating options and decided to leave Tuscaloosa after just 1 year. But in all seriousness, it felt horrible to go home, especially without any plans to return. I had constructed this master plan to remove myself and my future family from the very financial shortfalls that forced me to leave. Now, let's back up a moment to 2007. 2007 was the year of the housing market crash, or more famously, my freshman year of high school. Both of these events heavily impacted my household in Spring, Texas, which is a northwest suburb of Houston. The latter was big teenage angst energy, and the former was my family fighting tooth and nail to keep a roof overhead. My family tried their best to shelter me from it, but it's nearly impossible to shield your son from persistent food insecurity anxieties. My family was all in on real estate at the time, just at the wrong time, and without any true emergency protections in place. Thus, the fallout from the subprime loan crisis was not a one-time event for me. It happened to be a decade-long experience. Now, fast forward back to 2012. I hit an all-time low when I dropped out. I was depressed because I thought swimming at the All-American level would help fund higher education and facilitate financial security. I was that kid that played 10 sports growing up. I was that kid. And I sacrificed the many to focus on the one. The one that I had hoped that swimming at the collegiate level would be my exit strategy. I was depressed because at the time, I wanted to go to law school to be a sports agent. I have 3 younger siblings who I love very much. And while leaving college potentially opened up doors for them, it felt like I was shoving all of my needs, personal or professional, under the rug. And honestly, the biggest reason why I was depressed was because it felt like no matter how hard I pushed to overcome hardships, they never would go away. The barriers just seemed to get taller as I climbed, the rock heavier to push as I pushed harder. Was it ever going to change? I thought maybe I wasn't good enough to write my own narrative. Maybe I'm just not capable. I thought of dropping out as a necessary evil, just something that needed to happen given the unfortunate circumstances. Something that would lessen the weight of this financial burden and provide some much needed space to think. Growing up with undiagnosed ADHD, competing in sports helped me cope with these sorts of thinking struggles. Or to put it more visually, sports gave me a rudder in rough waters, if that helps. And after dropping out, I moved back home to Houston, and to where I sought out the thinking spot that every great philosopher ponders their purpose on their family's living room couch. I sprawled across that couch all summer long, almost every day, thinking about life, liberty, and the pursuit of pizza, probably. But in all seriousness, I was going through what I now know is called an identity crisis. And all I could think was ways to get my life back on track, per se. I was searching for that spark to rekindle that innate fire that we all have about something in our lives. The experience of dropping out forced me to reckon with this identity. What was I doing with my life? Why was I doing it? And what did I even want to do? I was 19, and I didn't know shit. And I definitely didn't know or have all of these answers. But what I did know was how, sports contexts had helped me navigate hardships in the past. Sports had allowed me to bridge the duality gap between mind and body. And even further, the gap between escape and togetherness. Plus, I had worn a Speedo for about 75% of the years of my life, and I needed to do something with that developed skill. So, later in the summer, after dropping out, I leaned back into my aquatic habits and taught swim lessons. In truth, I had been teaching swim lessons since the summer before college, but at that point, it was only part-time and conducted through a fiscal mindset. This was different. This time, it was about impacting my students' lives, and hopefully, in the process, refining my sense of self as well. I taught swim lessons to students that ranged from toddlers to aquaphobic retirees, from competitive triathletes to double amputee veterans. Many of my students had transformative life experiences. For example, some cried because they thought they would die if they submerged their face in the water. Some cried because it was the last new thing they would ever do before they actually passed. These moments, and more, were what provided me with the visceral tact necessary to feel purposeful again. Dropping out gave me the time and opportunity to reframe what I thought that I already knew, how to teach someone how to swim. Dropping out provided me with a new path to blaze, where I rediscovered joy in my life through my work. I found joy in being a change agent in people's lives by something as simple as, wait for it, championing their aquatic capabilities. I've definitely never said that phrase before, never in an interview. This is the first time I've ever used that phrase. That was a magical discovery. My completed inner flame hunt of self-actualization, a flip of my proverbial script from identity crisis to somewhat understanding. Moving forward, I judged opportunities through an impact-oriented perspective and coupled with this sports lens attached. This new perspective drove me to enlist in one of the most dangerous jobs in the world, the military special operations bomb squad. It's what informed my decision to re-pursue and finally finish undergrad at Columbia University this past year. Albeit the choice was to live in New York, and I lived in New York during a global pandemic, so who's the joke really on? Ultimately, dropping out is why I'm able to be here tonight and have the privilege of talking to all of you wonderful people. Dropping out of college was the best, worst thing that ever happened to me, because hitting rock bottom is where I found a new beginning. If you're interested in hearing more about my journey to Philadelphia, I have a website and a podcast called Non-Traditional Paths. I would love to have you on sometime to talk about the struggles and strengths of your journeys. I would love to thank Storytellers for having this event. Cheers to you all and to the other speakers ready to go. Thanks.